Secretary and also Senator Sharp. It was disappointing. Hi, Senator Sharp. It was disappointing to hear that you haven't gotten back to your constituents because you didn't know. It's always very helpful to just share, hey, I don't know, I'm looking into it, because that I think is a more appropriate response rather than silence. And to the OTA, to the Secretary, thank you very much for acknowledging that the project got off on a bad start, because we could all agree to that, and that takes courage to stand in front and say something like that. However, I think there's a couple of disappointments in the room right now. One is, this is a lovely venue, but it's not really conducive to all citizens. If we're limited to 700 people and we're turning people away, I would encourage for the next meeting to have a wider venue. That's right. So that we can hear a little bit more. Secondly, my other disappointment, well, other than some of the comments that have been made, is regarding the timeline. I was expecting to come here and to see a project timeline and to hear about what are the next steps. So we understand that we have an opportunity to go and to share with the 30 engineers that are sitting at the tables about our respective property. But I was expecting to see a little bit more of, okay, we're going to take that knowledge, and then it's going to take about 5 weeks for us to come together, and then by May, we'll be able to hear which properties are going to be coming forward. From a project management perspective, I would encourage to get a little bit more robust information and to also expand screens so that people can see. It's not conducive. And then there are some questions, that I would like to ask. And the first question, I actually came with a list, but the first question is that in all existing plans, from the Encompass 2035 plan to the ongoing 8-year CWP plans, to the city and the county level plans, to Governor Fallon's own plan, the Governor Fallon Bridge Improvement and Modernization Plan for 2011 to 2019, and even OTA's own 5-year plan for 2016 to 2020 that was just adopted in the OTA 2016 budget. There are no plans for a turnpike loop in eastern Oklahoma County. And this also affects those of us that have purchased homes and different things like that, because we've put a lot of investment into our homes, not only from a financial perspective, but also from an emotional perspective. We've heard too, is this going to be parts of economics? We've heard that perhaps some of our leaders are sharing with us that this is a boon for economics, but that the turnpike shouldn't be adjusted from that. And the first the public heard of this was when it was announced on October 29th. The OTA did not even vote to conduct a feasibility study until their next board meeting in December. And by the way, when we were at the meeting in January, in which it was our first opportunity for a venue, that's when we learned too that a survey for the exit ramps had been approved at over a $2 million budget. At that time too, there was no microphone for people to be able to hear what was being shared. Again, this is a logistics nightmare. Can you explain why this project has been brought forward so suddenly and in the manner in which it has?
Sure. Good question and good comment. As far as the venue is concerned, you're right, we're packed and way beyond the limit, and we're not being fair to a lot of people. And if you've got some ideas when we come back here in 4 or 5 weeks of a better venue, we will certainly do it. You got another place out here that we can do. So we would be more than happy to, if you've got some other ideas, please let us know of a good venue. As far as the 5-year plan that the Turnpike Authority approved, those are really maintenance projects. They call them capital projects, but they're really maintenance projects on existing facilities. They really don't take into consideration any expansion or any other needs. I had a chance to visit with ACOG. I don't know whether you're familiar with ACOG. It's the Metropolitan Planning Organization for the metro area here in Oklahoma City. And that's when I realized, and others realized, that the growth of Oklahoma City and the volumes of traffic that we're seeing on our interstates, that we have to have some relief. We have to do something different than what we're doing for the next 20 years. If you would think about when Eisenhower decided to build the interstate system back in 1956, there were a lot of people, just as you were, concerned about their properties, concerned of where it was being, concerned that is it really needed? Do we really need to have it? Is it something that really needs to happen? And I think all of us can see, as we look today, that it was really needed to happen, and it was really important to happen. So and as far as the timeline is concerned as to what we're doing, our intent is to gather some information from you here in a little bit. We will come back to you in 4 or 5 weeks at a venue of your choosing and show you what we come up with based on the information that you told us. And from that, if there's some other things that we need to know that you can say, hey, I forgot to point out this, or you've got this line on this map and this isn't going to work, and let me tell you why, and we need to adjust, we will adjust. And we will do this as many times as we need until we get the best possible solution.
You have a Mr. Secretary, to your left, to your left, to your left.
Which left?
My name is Dale Goforth. I live on Southeast 26th and Triple Road. I bought this place in 1972, bought 15 acres. I built a home, my daughter's home, I built my grandson's home, and my son built a home on this place. I moved to Choctaw in 1972 because it was quiet. Triple X was a gravel road. Indian Meridian was a gravel road. I moved down here because it was quiet. I don't care about a big bustling town, you know, and that's just my belief. But I was reading on this frequently asked questions that y'all put out about the 102 highway and the 177, because it would be too far east of where we're at. But in addition, what it says in this thing, it says, the further east you go, the less income a new road would be able to generate for these communities. But anyway, what's funny, and I'm just a dumb, okay? And I kind of wondered about why did Tractor Supply build where they built? I mean, out in the middle of nowhere. Right. Okay? And the next thing I heard, Lowe's is fixing to build right across the street from Tractor Supply. These people knew about it a year ago. That this highway was coming through there. Something ain't right. Anyway, that's
sometimes the conspiracy is because people are working against you without your knowledge, and I don't disagree with that. But the truth of the matter is that there were no prior knowledge to anybody as far as property is concerned or development before the announcement we made in October that we need to do something to satisfy the problem that we are experiencing today, but we know we're going to experience 20 years from now. How do we handle that problem? Those decisions were made in October of this last year, not a year ago or 2 years ago.
This gentleman up here is literally...
We have one question outside.
Okay, outside, go ahead.
I find it disingenuous of OTA to present this as not being funded by Oklahoma taxpayers just because it doesn't come out of the general fund. Turnpike fees are like an indirect tax, or maybe even a luxury tax, but we're not buying anything. We'll be paying for these turnpikes forever and ever and ever because of the cross-funding that was approved by the legislature, so that all of the monies that come in go to all the turnpikes. I also read on OTA's, something OTA put out, that there could be up to 25 turnpikes that have been allowed to be built. And I'm sorry, this is awful, and thank you for allowing me to make this statement.
The comment that the young lady made was that that these are quasi-tax supported roads. And you're right, taxpayers pay for them, there's no doubt about that. And, yeah, there's no doubt about that. But the only difference is, it's a voluntary tax. If you don't wish to use them, you don't use them, and you don't pay for them. That's the only difference.
Mr. Secretary, up here at the top, straight up. We have time for a couple more questions. The engineers are outside, so we have time for a few more questions unless you want more, but we have time for about 2 or 3 more questions.
Alright, thank you, Jack. As for spokesman Jack Campbell, in your interview on KOCO Channel 5, you stated that this turnpike is going to be built in a manner that indicated that it's a done deal. Do you care to elaborate on that?
He said, I ain't talking.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'll repeat it. I'll repeat it. As for OTA spokesman Jack Campbell, in his interview on KOCO Channel 5, he stated that this turnpike is going to be built in a manner that indicated that it's a done deal. Do you care to elaborate on it?
Yeah, I'd be
And I
glad
have
to
one
answer
more
that.
as well,
And I'm
actually.
glad to answer that.
One more, hang on one second, I've got one more.
Okay.
Former OTA director Tim Stewart stated that, quote, "You as a property owner will have lead time if we think that we'll end up having to take your house, field, barn, or fence line. You'll have someone knocking on your door, making you the best offer you're ever going to get on that property. Can you guarantee this? Can you provide that in writing to the citizens and landowners that are going to be affected, that the OTA will make them the best offer that they'll ever be able to obtain on that property?"
Don't want to sell.
Two things, 2 questions. Two questions. That it's already been decided that we need to have a east, north, south road. The answer is, the answer is, yes, we need to have one. And I'm telling you folks, you know, I've been in the business a long time. The north-south road in eastern Oklahoma County needs to be built. We just need to decide where it needs to be built. Is it a done deal that we're going to build it? Absolutely, it's going to happen. And I'm going to tell you, I don't know. When it's going to happen and where it's going to happen is yet to be decided. But at some point in time, there has to be a north-south corridor in this area sometime.
Mr. Secretary.
Mr. Secretary, we have a question over here.
Yeah.
We have a question over here. We have time for 2 more questions.
Mr. Secretary, my name is Scott Olson. I was looking at your map. Your map doesn't show any data for I-44. I'm assuming that all this traffic that's the bottleneck at I-35 and 40, you're assuming it's all going to Tulsa. Because any road that's out here, that's this far out here, isn't going to divert any of the traffic going up I-35. And if that's your goal, I don't understand that. So I guess that's one question. And then why the turnpike? If it's going to benefit the public, sell bonds, get the road built, however you have to get it built. If it's going to serve the public, don't make it a turnpike, make it a public road that we can use. If you have a turnpike, I promise, I know there's no way, I've never seen a turnpike that has very many entrances and exits. And if we're going to have all these people out here cut off from the world because you live on the east side of it, you're getting to town ain't going to be fun anymore.
If I understand you right, the couple questions that you had was one on the traffic on I-35 and I-40, and we're not going to be able to move all of that because people aren't all going to Tulsa. And that's absolutely correct. There's no way that you would move all of that traffic or even a big part of that traffic over here, nor would you want to. It needs to be somehow split so that people have options so that we don't continue to force them into a bottleneck that we have today. There will be some people that will use this route, other people will not. and that you give them alternatives, and that would allow to ease the congestion. As far as the other question you had was the exits, yeah. And you're absolutely right, when we built turnpikes in the past, like when we built the Turner, we didn't build near enough entrances and exits to it. And that's what we want to hear from you out there. You tell us, if this is built, you tell us where the entrances and exits need to be at so that we can incorporate.
Okay, we have time for one more question right here.
My name is Rhonda, and my question is piggybacked right off his. If you're making a turnpike going north and south, you stated earlier that this was to alleviate a lot of the traffic and the wrecks from I-35, that area, and also up I-44. So you're talking a turnpike north and south, so people, whether they're coming from Tulsa, they're still going to go that direction. People coming from Shawnee or whatever, they're still going to go that direction. So how is something so far out this direction, going north and south, going to alleviate wrecks and all the stuff that you have up that direction? That's the reasoning for y'all doing this. I don't understand that.
If the congestion that we're having is at the I-35, I-40 interchange, and this is only part of the reason why we need the corridor. And what you're trying to do is to give people a choice to get away from that interchange in the highly congested times of the day.
Hardly anybody lives out there.
So if someone is at Norman or Moore and is going to Tulsa, that they have an alternative way to go.
And they're
To
still
go
gonna go
up I-240
I-35.
and then go
Are you
north.
planning on going from there down to Norman there so you can bring it around?
But they only have to go to I-35 up to I-240, come across I-240 and hit
But that
this
still
alignment and go
doesn't, you
north.
still have
Are
that
you
traffic at
planning on going from
I-235.
there, going on down south to another 9 to Norman to leave the traffic
All right,
here?
we're going to move on with the program, please. From here on out, we have engineers outside that can answer your questions. We have engineers outside that can answer your questions.